Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, that is Tim. We talk about horror movies on this show, and in this episode, What was this, Tim? How dare you? How dare you interrupt my strange introduction?
I'm trying to hype you up.
He's just tripping me up, Timmy. You're tripping me up. But yeah, on this episode, we are talking about Velvet Buzzsaw, which is the recent Netflix original, directed by Dan Gilroy, who directed Nightcrawler, also starring Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene, Russo, who are both in this as well. Some other notable faces like Toni, Collette, and Natalia Dyer. I was like, oh, her from Stranger Things. She's in this.
I think like Netflix must have some type of contract where you must use at least like 2 to 3 Netflix actors in any movie.
Who else is in this?
The other artist guy, he was on Kimmy Schmidt.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. Fair enough.
But I feel like every Netflix movie I watch, it's always like, oh hey, I don't know, there's that person from Orange Is the New Black, or
also Billy Magnuson plays Bryson. He was in Maniac last year, the Emma Stone, Jonah Hill Netflix show. So,
oh my god, it's nepotism. I don't know.
Honestly, it's probably just that there's so much Netflix stuff now. It's impossible to make a movie without at least a couple of Netflix actors popping.
That's true too. Yeah,
I think that's not moving more lately.
Are you excited for like the future when there's like one film company that makes movies for one streaming service? And
oh god, no. No, competition is good. Competition is life. Competition is the challenge that inspires for new and interesting things.
Except for when it comes to podcasts, this should be the only one.
Yes, exactly. Yes, we should have a monopoly. But yeah, so we'll start with obviously spoiler free. We'll give you a warning in the middle before we get into spoilers, so don't worry about that. But yeah, so I really like Nightcrawler when it came out.
I love it. Yeah, Nightcrawler. Yeah. I was going to ask you, if you enjoyed it, but I really, really dug Nightcrawler.
Yeah, not a horror movie, of course. It's more of a sort of satirical thriller, as I'd call that. But
yeah,
it was a really good movie. So that was kind of the main selling point on this. Is it's Dan Gilroy. He's back with these actors. It's got a good cast. But there's also that feeling in the back of your mind where Netflix movies don't have a great track record. There's a few good ones, but a lot of them, and this is including from like directors who I know I've liked, like Duncan Jones, who did Moon and Source Code.
And to be fair, you're talking about like Netflix originals. Yes. Like sometimes something will pop up and you think it's a Netflix movie, and then you're like, oh wait, no, this was like a like Indonesian movie that came out 3 years ago. They just picked it up.
Oh, sure. They buy the rights. But it's really no different to what they do with all the other stuff anyway, because most movies Netflix make aren't made by Netflix. They're just bought by Netflix once they've been made.
Yeah.
It just happens right away that you don't really question it. But there are some that they do, like finance specifically. But so this is... So that's the thing. Like, so Duncan Jones made Moon and Source Code. I love Moon. Source Code's really good. And then Mute came out as a direct to Netflix. Well, I never saw Warcraft, but Mute came out.
Yeah, right. Don't lie to me. You were there day one, dressed up like an orc.
I cannot stand World of Warcraft. Howie. Nothing could have gotten me to see that. But even Duncan Jones directing didn't get me to see Warcraft. I'm okay, thank you very much. So I really like this director, right? I like Duncan Jones, and then Mute came out, a Netflix original. Me and Cora reviewed it last year, and it was garbage. It was garbage, and it's not that everything that Netflix do like this are garbage. It's just that a lot of them fall into this middle ground, but it's just kind of like, it was okay. Netflix have a lot of original movies that just don't quite hit the marks they want them to hit.
I mean, maybe it's just movies in general nowadays, but I feel like the Netflix original movies are always long too. Like, I mean, spoiler alert, I think this movie could have been cut down quite a bit, but I feel like, but same thing with like Bird Box. Like, I didn't think it was like horrible, but like I was like, why is it so long? I mean, I guess maybe just a criticism of movies nowadays, but let's bring back the 90-minute mark. That's what we should be striving for.
I think for a movie like Bird Box, I think you're right. I don't really mind it so much with some of the bigger epic like superhero stuff, because it's like as much as some of them are really long,
we're nerds, but
we are nerds, admittedly, yes. So I mean, I don't mind as much, but I feel like there's so much. Like they tend to be juggling so many characters now that you kind of need the time. Otherwise, you're going to feel like you're not getting enough of someone.
Mhm.
This so this is my feelings getting into this, right? I'm like, okay, I'm excited because of the director and the cast. And the trailer, was an interesting trailer because I didn't know what this movie was going to be about until I saw the trailer, and I wasn't expecting anything that was a horror movie. But the trailer went very horror movie by the end of it. It was like, no, there's all these kills that are going to happen. We've got this crazy art that's making people die. Like, what's happening? I'm like, okay, all right, we'll see what this is like. So I came in optimistic, but also just a little bit trepidatious because Netflix have given me some lukewarm movies in the past. Not even necessarily, there's been a few stinkers, but mostly lukewarm. I'd describe most Netflix original movies as lukewarm.
That's a good way to put it. And I feel like also, I mean, pardon the pun, but I feel like this wasn't really getting that much buzz. Like I wasn't really hearing people talk about this, like, because sometimes, I mean, especially with, someone like Bird Box, like, regardless of how you feel about the movie, like people wouldn't shut up about it. Like, this kind of, I think I maybe heard a few people mention it on a podcast or something, but there wasn't much going around.
I finally watched Bird Box a few weeks ago, actually. I saw it.
Yeah.
I watched it on stream with people.
Oh, nice.
It was, it was okay. Like, I didn't like the ending, and there was some weird things here or there, but it had some nice scenes and ideas.
I would say, like, I'm not, I swear I'm not trying to sound like a snob or anything, but I very recently had read the book, and the book is really, really good. I think it's hard to translate it to a movie because, the book just does such a good job of like filling you with this kind of dread about, the unknown and what's going on and stuff. And I feel like it's a little hard to replicate in a movie when you are literally like, seeing everything.
I assume the book's told in first person?
No, it was third person.
Oh, really? I assumed you'd tell that story in first person because you'd want to be in the character's head because they can't look at certain things. But
yeah, that's fair.
But fair enough. Well, it was just a guess.
No, I mean, I really like the book. But yeah, the movie is just okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose. So yeah, what is Velvet Buzzsaw about? Velvet Buzzsaw is about the world of high stakes art galleries in Los Angeles, and the competitive smash of art galleries to sign certain artists as exclusives and museums and that kind of thing. But the main plot comes from a random guy who dies. This random dude who worked as a janitor for years, I think. Was that a janitor? I think it was something like that.
It sounds about right.
But he happened to have like thousands of paintings in his house that he had done. All this great artwork that no one had ever seen. And this, it ends up being like taken, despite the fact that he wanted it destroyed. This hungry young one, arguably our main character actually, even though you've got Jake Gyllenhaal and Rene Russo in there, I'd argue that Josephina, played by Zawe Ashton, is probably the closest we have to a protagonist. She kind of steals the art and ends up making a deal to put it in galleries and stuff like that to make money off of it. And of course, as the movie goes on, the art kind of causes some deaths because it's kind of supernatural-esque kind of things start happening. And I'll leave it there.
Kind of, I would say. It definitely does. But...
I'm leaving it vague, Tim. I'm leaving it vague for spoilers' sake, okay?
Okay, all right.
But I'll leave it there for we'll talk about more of the plot itself and spoilers, but that's the basic setup of the movie. So I'll ask the question, Tim, did you enjoy Velvet Buzzsaw?
This is one I kind of had to think about for a while. Like it definitely, by the end, I definitely wasn't like, oh, I loved it or oh, I hated it. And I think there was a little lukewarm, yeah. But I think I am gonna fall a bit on the side of not liking it. There is some stuff that I liked about it, like there's a ton of great people in it. So like, the actors, were good. I actually really like the premise, and I like I like seeing a world that you don't really see that much in horror. Like I can't really think of any other horror movies where like the victims are like snooty, pretentious, like art people that like it was kind of like cool to see a different type of person instead of like horny teenagers dying. But that being said, the big problem I have, and this is something I'm declaring in 2019, I have no more time for this, which is horror movies that don't want to go full horror. Like this, I think it's kind of hard to describe exactly what type of movie it is because I wouldn't say it's outright horror, but whenever there are,
I agree. This is how I would explain it. It's a movie that's more concerned with being this quirky, the art world politics, that just when the plot demands it, it turns into a horror movie for a scene here or there. Like, because when the death scenes happen, when the art starts doing things and people are like in these scenes, it does start to feel like a horror movie. The music kind of gets horror-esque and there's suspense before the thing happens. But as soon as it's over, it immediately goes back to just being this quirky art drama.
Yeah, and then my thing is, I could be okay with that if those scenes like would go full horror, because you're right, it actually, like, when the scene starts, it will totally, the music kicks in, the whatever, like the lighting, the camera, like everything is shouting at you horror movie, but then right as the kill's about to start, then it'll stop. Like, it's not very gory, like the kills aren't, we usually don't really see a lot, and that's what is really trying my patience. Like, I hate this, like, no, I want to see this kind of stuff. Like, if you're gonna be a horror movie, like, you got to show me the horror. And obviously there are movies that do a good job of not always showing you everything and leaving stuff up to your imagination, but it doesn't seem like that's what they're trying to go for.
Yeah, it's not a subtle movie. It's definitely a very blunt film. It's definitely a satire, much like Nightcrawler was. I don't think this is as effective, though. I would describe myself as kind of lukewarm on this one. I wanted to like it, and there were certain things that I kind of loved about it. There were some little jokes that I loved. There were some little things that I loved, but ultimately, I thought there was too many characters, and I had a hard time really connecting with them. I thought Josephina, I would argue, is kind of the main character. Like, I liked her early on, and I thought they did a good job of giving her motivations for why she does what she does early on in the film. But by the end of the movie, she's completely changed as a character, and I feel like that kind of happened almost like too quickly, to the point where by the end of the film, I wasn't really rooting for anyone, and it was hard to be invested.
Oh no, definitely. And I think that maybe if there were less characters and you did focus on her more, I mean, you're totally right. Like, she would probably be the closest to a main character. Like, it'd probably be like her, and then slightly below her, Jake Gyllenhaal's character. But with all the different stuff that's going on, like, you don't really get that much time to kind of get interested and get invested in their lives and what they're doing and stuff. So there's kind of
because I felt it got
like a
worse
change by the end, but
in that respect as it went on, because I felt like the first half hour was very much her story with the other characters being supporting, and I was kind of into the movie and it was doing its thing. It definitely was a slower start. Like, if you were going to cut time out of this, it probably would be the first like 30-40 minutes if you wanted to trim it down a little bit, but it did do a good job of setting up her motivations, and it did feel like it was her story and everyone else was a supporting player. But once the art was in the galleries and it started being just, going down the path of the plot, and, Gyllenhaal was investigating that a little bit, because Gyllenhaal plays an art critic, that's his role in the film. Once it started going down that path, it felt like it got a lot more scattershot and would jump from character to character without it really feeling like any one character. Because it felt like it was Josephina's story up until a point, and then once the art got into the world, it became very evenly split amongst like 4 characters. And once it did that, it kind of just, it felt like it was lacking this drive. It felt like it was lacking this focus and momentum that to sort of take me through the story. So I felt the movie dragged a little bit because of that, despite the fact that it's not that long. It's like an hour 50. It's not, it's not super long, but it felt like it was kind of languishing because I think it needed more focus and direction just as a drive to take us through it. And I think keeping a character central, who's our main character, would be the way of doing that.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And like, maybe if there were, again, more kills that, or, they were drawn out a little more suspenseful, maybe like the, length wouldn't have felt as draggy. But I mean, it's when you're going kind of like, far in between, that suspenseful stuff that, which, it's kind of the reason why I'm here, why I'm excited. Not that I, don't like this kind of quirky art stuff. Like, I did find that stuff enjoyable, but it was kind of a weird mix of a movie.
The sad truth is, as well, is that the trailer kind of, all of the good kills barring maybe one, or not even just the good kills, all of the kills barring one, I think are in the trailer. Because the trailer was kind of this weird thing for me where it started off as this quirky art trailer, and then it turned into this horror thing with all these really over-the-top deaths as it went on, right? And it was really quick and like, whoa, this movie looks crazy. And I remember coming out of that trailer talking to Connor on Trailer Talk saying, okay, either it's going to be this weird work of genius that's this quirky thing that's in between, or it's going to be a really weird mess. But either way, it'll probably be worth watching and entertaining. And I feel like this movie actually comes down right in the middle, that it's neither thing, and is a bit more dull because of it. It's not crazy enough that I'm like, well, this was a mess that was insane, and who knows what the director was thinking. But it's also not this work of genius where it all clicks together and has this great point to make. Like, obviously, the movie's ultimately about the reason why the deaths are happening. And this is not a spoiler, I don't think. It's just this is the premise. Is basically anyone who's given up art for greed, and it's more about money, and that's kind of what the kills are targeting. It's about greed.
Yeah.
And obviously you can see the satire in there. You can see the satirical elements that can come out of that. But I don't really think it does enough with it. Where I was like I felt it did this thing where obviously part of this feels like a sort of supernatural B horror movie where they have to, like, you know, Jake Gyllenhaal's looking into the history of these paintings and who painted them, and there's something going on. He goes from like just investigating because he's curious to I believe there's a supernatural thing happening, like at the drop of a hat. Like it all of a sudden he's scared as if he knows things are happening, and it just like, why did he jump to this conclusion? Because I like some of the concept, because later on in the film there's at least one character who intentionally tries to remove all art from their home. And I was like, this is a fun idea, that the idea that to survive now, thinking that you're going to be a victim to this, you get rid of all of your art because the art is what's going to kill you, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, that's a really... Like, I almost like the idea of a horror movie where those are the rules, where, okay, we have to stay away from art. Art is what's going to kill us.
And especially, like, you know, in the beginning when, like, when they're going through the gallery and you see all these kind of, like, really weird art pieces that you're like, ooh, this could come back later and be like a really cool like way to kill someone. And you know, they kind of do try to bring stuff later, but it just feels so muted. Like it, you know, it really doesn't,
it felt like
excite you.
The movie or the director, whatever you want to say, like wasn't interested in doing any of that, and that's fine. Like, it doesn't want to be that movie, but I feel like just taking this plot and kind of streamlining it into more of a quicker paced movie would actually not lose the metaphor that you're going for. Like, it would still work. Like, the idea of them still running from the art, because the art is what's dangerous now, the metaphor would still be there. I think the script is just a little bit self-indulgent and waffling around, especially early on, because as much as I like that it sets up Josephina and we get a good idea of her motivations, a lot of that early stuff does feel like it's kind of, it's there because we, you know, they want to relish in this world and all this stuff, and I just, like, I don't know.
Especially if you compare it to Nightcrawler, which I think, you know, does a much better job of like feeling like it has like a message and like a point, but like at the same time, I feel like the people in that maybe felt like a little more real, whereas this, I don't know, like it's not really that subtle. Like everyone feels like a, you know, what you would think of like a, if you're going to do like a cartoon of a, you know, pretentious art critic, like this is, you know, how the person would look, how they would talk, you know, it doesn't really feel that like authentic. You know, it kind of seems like you can almost feel the director being like, I hate art. Like, look at these people. Like, they're so stupid, you know?
Well, it's not so much that he hates art. I think the point is that you love art for art's sake. You don't love it for the commerce and the greed, you know, because the one, I mean, I was
the status like symbols.
Yeah, I was going to spoil something there by accident. I'll hold back for spoilers. Okay. But
hold me back.
And then the other thing from Nightcrawler is that Nightcrawler was super focused. It was about Jake Gyllenhaal's character. He was the central character. Everything was following him. And it's not like he was a normal guy or that he was likable even. He was, you know, he did despicable things. He was clearly a bit unhinged. It was obsessive. It was a movie about obsession. And I think in this strive to succeed and be the best, and this movie kind of has parts of that kind of in some of the characters where it's more about being the best than actually caring about what you're doing. And I guess that's what the movie's speaking out against. And again, I like these themes, I like these concepts. I just think the movie, it doesn't focus in enough. I think it needs some more drafting. I think it needs to cut some characters and just streamline it and nail it down a little bit better. And if it doesn't want to be like a full-on horror movie, that's fine. If that's not what it wants to be, that's not what it wants to be.
Yeah.
But the problem is because it feels so scattershot to me, is that the horror stuff is the only thing I can latch onto and say, I want more of that. Do more of that, please, because at least that would be fun.
Yeah. Is it too late to send these notes to the studio? Or?
I think so. I think it is too, unfortunately.
Oh. Are you checking?
No, no,
Oh.
I'm not joking.
All right. Well, one last thing about Nightcrawler. Did you know that he's Mystique's son?
Do you know, I did know that. What I didn't know, this is something I found out in a comic book recently, and it blew my mind.
Oh,
I was reading
okay.
Mr. and Mrs. X.
Okay. Rogue and Gambit.
Yes, the Kelly Thompson series, which is, despite the fact that I have no interest in Rogue or Gambit, especially Gambit.
What?
I greatly
Oh, mon ami.
I actively dislike Gambit. I think he's a tit.
What? You don't like that creepy pervert that explodes things?
I don't like Gambit, but despite that, I tried it because I really like West Coast Avengers, which is also Kelly Thompson. So I'm reading it for the writer, right? Even more than I am the characters.
Yeah, she's great. I've been reading her Hawkeye run, which is really good.
I've not read it. I want to read it though, because Kate Bishop's the main character in West Coast Avengers, and it's very very good. Anyway,
Nice.
but so I was reading that, right, and in the first issue, this bombshell was dropped on me. Apparently, Mystique is also Rogue's adoptive mother.
Oh yeah, you didn't know that?
I had no idea. She
Oh,
refers to his Nightcrawler as her brother, and I'm like, what? What's happening?
You know that? Yeah, that's did you not watch the like '90s cartoon show growing up?
I never did.
Oh, okay, that's probably the only reason why I know it. But there's that was like a plot point on the show.
I was like, Jesus, what so what's all these weird family connections going on? Like, I knew about Mystique, and I knew about Azazel being the father of Nightcrawler, and I was like, okay, I thought I knew understand all this stuff, and then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, Rogue's also Nightcrawler's sister. Like, wait, what?
Yeah.
she's lacking a bit of blue. Just for the record, she's adopted. Okay, fine.
Yeah. What the? Oh goddamn! Oh, I thought something that. For a while, there was a lot of speculation that Gambit was actually going to be the third Summers brother, because there was a time when they were teasing that there was a third Summer Brothers, which there did end up being. But yeah, for a long time, people thought it was going to be Gambit.
I really thought you were going to circle us back around to Velvet Buzzsaw, but it was more X-Men down the rabbit hole.
I'm done with that movie. I said my piece.
Well, we're not done yet, Tim. We got spoilers to do yet.
Okay.
We got spoilers to do yet, but I think we'll do spoilers now. We'll say spoiler warning for Velvet Buzzsaw.
And possibly X-Men. Who knows?
And possibly some of X-Men. So John Malkovich is the only one who survives, because he actually leaves, because he actually cares about his art, and he's miffed that he has no inspiration right now. So he goes away to do his own thing, and he actually disappears from the movie until this sort of mid-credit sequence, or as the credits are playing, you see him making art on the beach.
Yeah, it's just the credits sequence.
And it's like, no, he survived because he actually cares about his art, and he wants to make art just for art's sake. It's got nothing to do with about selling things. Whereas everyone else in the movie is obsessed with this. And because that's one of my problems with Josephina's character, is that by the end, like, she becomes this really stuck-up person who's like really snobby and talks down to people. So, and I'm like, at the start of the movie, I was kind of rooting for her, and even though she did kind of a sketchy thing, you understood the motivation for it, and I was still kind of on her side.
Yeah, because like her boss, like, basically was chewing her out and kind of putting her like, you're on your kind of last legs here, and like she really needed to do something to get in. To the good graces, and you can kind of feel this desperation from her, where she really wants to belong in this world, but you're not sure if she's exactly like kind of cutthroat enough for it. But then by the end she does get that way, but like you said, it's kind of, we don't really see the gradual becoming of it. It's just all of a sudden she's talking about like, what good is art if no one sees it, and like that kind of thing, where it's like, all right, this is kind of like a big turn from like where you are like 20 minutes ago.
Yeah, by the end of the movie, she's just a completely different character, and I'm just like, I don't care about you anymore. And maybe that's kind of the point, but it made it hard to really care about what was going on. And I was actually kind of surprised that Jake Gyllenhaal died, like, because he didn't seem to, because he actually seemed to have principles. Because when he finds out that his ex-boyfriend was like, giving information to Rene Russo about what he was going to review because his reviews basically like, increase the value of the art or decrease it depending on what he says, seemingly. And she would buy things on the early information from his reviews from the boyfriend, and he's like shocked by this. To him, this is like a breach of like morals, because Toni Collette's character tries to like, hey, can you give me some info about your reviews before you publish them so I can make some purchases? and he's like appalled at the, you know, like, no, I respect my job. I actually have, you know, passion for this. And I thought that he was going to live because he didn't, you know, succumb to the greed like everyone else did. But no, the robot art exhibit still came to life and killed him.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think that was the other thing, is I felt like the movie just kind of quickly ended. It was like all of a sudden everyone died very quickly, and then
I wonder if there's like a longer movie that I don't know, got like edited down or something, because it definitely feels like there was stuff that was missing. And like the robot homeless man, it is like a weird creepy visual. So like, again, when he's coming to life, like the horror movie vibes are kicking in, and it's kind of cool. He's like, slowly kind of chasing him down this hallway, but then it's like, he kind of just presses up against him, and then, we assume he died. We don't actually see anything. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. It feels like all of a sudden, I felt like there was no narrative endpoint for Gyllenhaal specifically. I thought his character Morph didn't really reach a conclusion.
Another X-Men character actually from the 90s show.
Is it?
Well, it's Morph, but yeah, close enough. I just remember it because he actually, in the cartoon show, he like dies in like, the first or second episode, and the rest of the series, Wolverine is always like, Morph, my buddy.
How did we get back to X-Men? This is your fault, Tom.
You did watch it.
I never
you
did.
Bastard.
No, I actually never did. I know the music because people kept saying it was one of the best like animated music, intro themes of all time, and I never heard it, so I looked it up. But I've never actually seen the show.
I would say it's up there for sure. If you watched the American one, the American one's good, but then there's also like a Japanese one. Like I guess they ran the show in Japan, which it was like the same show, just dubbed over, but for whatever reason they redid the like intro, and it just has like this beautiful like 90s anime X-Men intro that is so cool. I highly recommend looking that up.
Okay.
So I guess we didn't really actually mention like kind of what's happening, but basically like the paintings are, well, I guess not just paintings, like all the art is kind of coming alive and killing people.
Yeah.
And I got excited when like those monkeys started like coming to life and reached out and grabbed that guy.
Yeah, that was Magnuson's character. Yeah, that was okay. You also had because the one that was disappointing to me actually was the sphere with the holes, because the whole thing was like putting the hand in the sphere. Which, by the way, in the later scene when Josephina takes Gyllenhaal's arm and brings it towards her crotch, I was like, okay, I'm clearly supposed to be thinking about putting the hand in the sphere, because the whole thing with the art exhibit is you're supposed to put your hand in the hole.
It's really a shame that Angus Scrimm is no longer with us, because that would have been a great cameo if he just walked by and like just like shook his head and like walked away.
Sure. Have a kid walk past you so he can go, boy. Yeah, why not do that? So, and that was one of the moments in the trailer that I really liked, was her hand in that and then the blood spurting out.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But there wasn't really any more to it. Like, I liked the story afterwards where the next day people thought that was like part of the exhibit, so they just assumed it was part of the thing. Yeah. So there was school kids coming up and walking up and into the blood and stuff like that. And I was like, that's kind of funny. Honestly,
you liked when the kids got traumatized?
Yes.
Okay.
Always.
Just making sure.
That's the best part of any movie. So my favorite character might actually be Coco, Natalia Dyer's character, and the reason for this is purely because she actually gets 4 different jobs in this movie. Well, she has a cat too, which is great. I relate. But she's working for Rene Russo to begin with, and then she gets fired from her, and then she goes to work for the rival dude, John Don, who's funny. Because he's got a funny name
because of his name, yeah.
But he's also funny because he does this thing where he tries to like sign Pierce, John Malkovich's character, and he goes to his studio and he starts like analyzing this like pile of garbage, thinking it's an art display, and John Malkovich is just like, it's not art. And I'm like, yeah, you fraud, you fraud.
Yeah. Yeah, he was like a good like kind of like rival bad guy. He kind of like dies pretty early though.
Yeah,
like in terms of the deaths, like I think he's like the second dude.
But so he goes watch for him, and Coco walks in when he's hanging there the next morning. And she sees that, and then she goes to work for Toni Collette for her, because she's also quit her museum job and she's doing like a private art advisory now. And she walks in and finds her death. That's how they know it's not a part of the display, because she recognizes her and screams because it's her boss that's lying there dead. Right
After midnight.
after midnight, yes. Joe, it took me a second to realize why you said that. I'm gonna lie. And then Jake Gyllenhaal calls her and says, "Hey, do you need a job? Come work for me. I need help." And he actually like dies like later on that same night. Like this almost goes nowhere, but it's all worth it, because she complains in that scene that she's walked in and two bosses already, like, she's discovered two dead bodies, right? Two of her bosses have wound up dead, and she's traumatized for it. She can't sleep. So there's a moment after Gyllenhaal's been killed where she's walking to where that she's going to meet him, and it just occurs to me right before that, I'm like, this is the third boss she's going to walk in on who's dead, and she is like she's like traumatized by this. And part of the movie's ending is just her like going back home to her home state with the cat. She's like, yeah, screw this, I'm going home.
Yeah.
That's enough of this shit. So that moment was funny enough that I think Coco's my favorite character, but just because of that.
Yeah, no, she's definitely likable, and but again, like another character I feel like they don't do much with. I mean, maybe she is just supposed to be more of a side character.
I think she's supposed to be like the normal person. Like we relate to her the most, because she's like, in this world where everyone else is like all cutthroat and like try to like backstab each other, and she's just this normal person who wants a job, and she's trying her best, and she keeps getting in these ridiculous situations. I think that's her character. It's not the only character. Malkovich is actually not the only character who goes away and survives. Damrish, who's this other artist who Rene Russo's been trying to sign away from his collective, and the whole collective's about how they don't want to be part of this financial like side of things. They just want to make art and like do it for art's sake. So he actually goes back to that and seemingly survives because of it as well. So that's the thing. Josephina's death is basically all the paintings in this gallery drip their paint, and then the paint kind of runs up her body, and then the next day we see that she's become part of a mural on a wall, like in the graffiti. She's just kind of trapped in the wall, which is fun.
Yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I feel like you're talking about a movie where art kills. Like, it's like, all right, it seems like something that you would want, and it's like obviously, like, it's CGI and stuff, but I did think it looked kind of cool when the paint was all kind of dripping and running over.
No, the paint dripping did look quite good. The effect, so I can't really complain too much about that. Yeah, I think most of my problems just come from the script more than anything else. It's just what it chooses to focus on. Too many characters. By the end, it felt like everything just ended and like everyone just started dying really quickly. And it has a point. And obviously, we're not talking about the final death yet. I'll mention that in a minute. But
okay, yeah, I was just gonna ask how you thought about that.
But it just kind of felt like everything quickly ended. Because this is the thing. So at the end of the movie, Rene Russo is like on her own, and she finally believes that the art's killing everyone. So she gets everyone to room, because she's got a very fans posh home, really secluded, and it's got a lot of expensive art in it. She has people come and remove all of her art, right? Because she's now understanding that's the threat. And I almost wish we got to this point earlier, and this was what part of the movie was them trying to like think they were safe because there was no art. But early in the film, we find out that she used to be in a band like decades ago called Velvet Buzzsaw, title of the movie, and she has a tattoo on her back of a Velvet Buzzsaw. But it's the name inside the Buzzsaw.
Yeah, but more the neck than the back, right?
It's kind of it's up there. It's kind of.
Okay.
I would have said the neck. I'd have said it's like right under her neck.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was maybe a bit more over towards almost on her shoulder as well, like kind of that.
Maybe. Yeah.
But I don't know. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. This is irrelevant to the point we're about to make. So
if it's the back, it's definitely the upper back.
Yes. Oh, that's what I agree. It's the upper back. But the buzzsaw starts spinning in her skin, and blood starts spurting out, and she screams. And I really like that death. It's a final nice little moment, right? I just wish more of the movie focused on this idea of like, okay, we have to like hide from art. Like, I wish there was more to that, and more of the movie focused on that element, because I really like that idea. Yeah, instead, it's one scene. It's one scene of her getting rid of her art and thinking she's safe, and then on up buzzsaw time.
Yeah, Yeah, because there's like a lot that you could do with that, like especially because like art's everywhere. When what if you're looking at your phone and something pops up, or like just walking down the street, you seen graffiti or an ad or something. Like there's a lot you could do with that, but it doesn't really go that far.
This movie's plot feels like something that the Doom Patrol would have to deal with to get away from the X-Men and onto a different superhero team. I feel like the Doom Patrol deal with this kind of shit.
Well, I think I forget if it's like maybe the first or second arc by Grant Morrison. It's
which I
like
just read,
called,
which is why I'm thinking of this probably.
Yeah, it was the painting the ape Paris. Like that is actually like something that happens in Doom Patrol.
Yeah. That's okay. They get Paris back. It's fine.
Doom Patrol, basically the DC's X-Men.
What? I would have said Teen Titans was more DC's X-Men, but.
Are you kidding? They got they're.
Oh, okay. You've got the guy in the wheelchair who kind of adopts all these weirdos. Sure. Okay. In that sense, I think in tone though, I think Teen Titans was because that was the thing in the 80s, that Teen Titans and X-Men were rivals. Like that's why Teen Titans existed, because the X-Men was doing well.
I mean, I think in terms of like popularity, sure, but I know in terms of like tone and stuff, I don't think they were necessarily too similar.
Okay,
in my opinion.
It's closer than Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol's like is your weirder art house take on a superhero team almost.
Yeah. Well, once Morrison took over, yeah.
Yeah.
There was, I mean, they kind of like flip flop back and forth. Like there are times when they try to bring it back and be like a little more, kind of, I guess, mainstreamy heroes. Like there's I forget the exact time frame, probably like mid 2000 or something. Like Keith Giffen did like a short little run, which actually I thought was pretty good. That was kind of just your regular superhero stuff, but. I love the Doom Patrol characters though, so I'm always happy to see them anywhere.
Yeah. TV show starts next week. Well, at the time of recording, it starts next week. You may not see this episode for a while.
Yeah, I'll be sure to check it out as soon as I find someone with a DC Universe password that I can log in with.
Just wait till it's finished and just watch it. Get your free month and just watch all of it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna want. How soon does Swamp Thing come out? Because that's what I was probably gonna save my trial
summer.
for that.
Yeah, it's summer that comes out.
All right, I'll wait for summer once Swamp Thing's out. Then I'll get a free trial and then binge. Binge Doom Patrol, Swamp Thing, maybe Young Justice season 3. I don't know. I kind of liked Young Justice for a while. I think I fell off a bit at the end, but.
No, I like Young Justice. For what it's worth, Young Justice is pretty good. We keep getting away from Violet Buzzsaw somehow. I don't know. We keep tangent into comic books. I guess it's a sign that despite the fact that this movie from the trailer looked it was going to be this weird, crazy thing, it ultimately didn't actually end up feeling that weird or crazy.
Yeah, no, not really.
Yeah, it feels a bit more muted than I was expecting, and sadly, I think it's another case of like. And, I mean, I don't think Netflix is a reason for this, but it does kind of almost feel like again like. This creator who made a movie before that was really good, and then made a movie at Netflix, and the movie at Netflix feels kind of, just a little bit duller than what his previous work was. It was weird.
Yeah.
Because it's not like Nightcrawler was this big studio movie where, like... Because I've heard people argue in the past that Netflix give people too much freedom, and that freedom leads to this kind of thing, but it's not like Nightcrawler was this big studio movie where, like, I'm pretty sure Nightcrawler was what Gilroy wanted to make.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like Netflix kind of sucks. I don't know,
TV shows are good. That's the thing, and their batting average with TV shows is way better.
I don't know what TV shows are good. I like Kimmy Schmidt. I guess I kind of like Orange Is the New Black.
Well, I mean, to be fair, Tim, you've not watched a lot of the good ones. I mean,
Castlevania is amazing, of course.
Yeah, no, I mean, Dark's a fantastic show. That was a great show. The OA.
Wasn't that like a German show or something they just picked up?
No, it's a Netflix original German show.
Oh, okay.
They make foreign shows, Tim. Same with 3% in Brazil. They also do. And what else we had in the last year? Mindhunter was really good.
Okay.
Stranger Things is fantastic.
That's true.
There's tons of stuff. Sabrina was pretty fun. What else did we have recently? Series of Unfortunate Events, that just ended. All 3 seasons of that were really good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Tim, there's like a new Netflix original series that I want to watch like every 2 weeks. It's insane how quick they're putting these out. Haunted Hill
but
House.
there's also 5 that you don't want to watch every week, though. To be fair,
It's not that many, but
are you gonna stand up for like Haters Back Off and whatever that Chuck Lorre show was, or like Dude Ranch?
I'm not saying there's not bad shows on Netflix. I'm saying that compared to the movies, it's more like they're like, because let's be honest here, right? In terms of movies in general, like how many of them are good in any given year, right? Like 5%, maybe. Not a lot, right? Most movies suck. Let's be honest. There's so many bad movies that are made that there's far more bad than there is good, right? And I think that
maybe regular movies, horror movies, are mostly good.
How can you, Tim? We watch some crap on this show. You can't say that with a straight face, right? Netflix movies have this really bad ratio where there's really only a few great ones. TV shows, there's like, I can do a top 20 Netflix TV shows probably at this point and feel quite passionate about all 20 of them. So,
well, what are they?
I'd have to look at a list and do it, but I probably could. Like,
I agree. Castlevania is good. Sure, once the Devil May Cry show comes out, that'll be good too.
I gave up in Castlevania early season 2.
Of course you did. You garbage art person.
What can I say to him? I'm sorry, but
Well, you apologize.
Yeah.
We'll wait. We'll get a Resident Evil show, so we'll see how that goes.
I am terrified of what that's going to be, Tim. I am terrified.
Not in the way you want to be terrified. No, talking about Resident Evil.
I'm terrified of what that's going to be. Like I don't know. Anyway, Violet Buzzsaw, Tim. We keep getting off track. Violet Buzzsaw is kind of lukewarm. I don't like. Again, I think the biggest thing I can say about this is that, or the way to sort of exemplify my disappointment here is that the trailer made me think it was going to be this crazy thing that I'd have a lot to say about, and in the end, it's a lot more muted and uninteresting than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. No, I mean, I can't really disagree. I'm kind of the same way. It's like it's definitely not the worst movie in the world. Like I wouldn't even go as far to say that it's bad.
No, it's not bad. I can't call it bad. It's just very lukewarm. Again, I'm going back to that word, but that's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah. It's room temperature.
It kind of is. And with that, Timmy, please rate the movie out of 10.
So I think, I feel, again, I don't hate it, but I don't really like it, so I am kind of right down the middle. So I think I'm gonna go straight, like just a straight 5, because I was kind of thinking maybe going like a little bit lower, like a 4.5 or something, but I feel like that would be like, okay, I didn't like it, and I don't really want to commit to saying that, but I can't really go that much higher and be like I did like it. So yeah, just like the great King Solomon when he decided to cut that baby in half. I just gotta go right down the middle.
Yeah, I'll go slightly higher. I'll give it a 5.5, and I think because it's not badly made. Obviously, it's got a good cast. It generally looks pretty good, and it's definitely got ideas in there. But like ultimately, I feel pretty apathetic towards a lot of it. And the more it went on, that feeling got stronger. Or maybe the better way to say it is that I started off kind of caring, but into kind of the plot, and then it kind of got sucked out as the movie went on. And that was a shame. That was a shame. So 5.5 is what I'm giving it. So that's Velvet Buzzsaw. Disappointing.
Not the worst thing in the world. Worth a watch if you're bored, I guess. But yeah, there's better horror movies. The Exorcist. That's better.
Why
are you denying it?
No, I'm just. It's just such a random. The Exorcist. That's one that's better. But yeah, so that is a Velvet Buzzsaw. You can of course let us know what you thought of that in the comments below. Time to plug things at you. Patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, of course. You can go over and support us over there. And we, actually, yeah, this is the first Streams episode we've mentioned this on. But starting in March, we're going to have an exclusive episode of Streams After Midnight as a bonus for patrons, exclusive to the $1 Patreon tier, and up, of course. So if you want that bonus episode starting in March, you just have to go to Patreon and sign up for $1 per month, and you can get the extra episode. So you can look forward to that.
Yeah. If you feel that you'd buy that for $1, then there it is.
You can buy it for $1. Also, the $5 tier, of course, every month our patrons get to vote between 4 movies for the Patreon pick episode, and the next vote will be up for that, presumably. So
yes,
go check that out. You can get us on the Twitters at Screams Midnight, and we've been a lot more active on there recently. So do head over to Twitter and.
Yeah, please do. We're doing a lot of fun things. Both of us, I've been jumping on there, so it's a great way to kind of communicate and not just the movie stuff, but when big news or trailers and stuff hit, we tweet out and talk about it. So it's a good way for people to have some fun. How
basically the Stream's Twitter now is how close can Tim get before I decide to revoke his access to the Twitter. That has become the ongoing story that's developing on Twitter. So you can check out that. You can get me on Twitter at Wibblet9. You can get Tim on Twitter at Tim Vergulish. You can, of course, also buy merchandise. Do you want a Streams After Midnight t-shirt or hoodie or hat, or even like a pillow cover? You can go to the store in the description below. There's both a US store and a UK store, obviously whichever one's preferred for your shipping purposes, and you can buy some Streams merch as well as some other Mail Fuzz stuff. So I believe I've plugged everything that I need to. So yeah, so that's.
I don't plug stuff. I do it for the art.
I do it for the art too, but art's still got to eat, man.
That's true.
Art's got to eat. So so let us know what you thought of the movie in the comments. But otherwise, that is it. So thank you once again for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.